Hello, friends, and welcome to Boston.com's Cocktail Club. I'm Jackson Cannon, and soon I'll be joined by Ashley Sullivan, the bar manager of Salt Raw Bar and Restaurant in Plymouth, Massachusetts. Tonight, we're making cocktails with bourbon. We're catching up on the local bar and restaurant community, and of course, we're sharing some tips that pros use to make great drinks at home. If you clicked through to Gordon's Wine and Spirits when you registered and purchased the Boston.com cocktail kit for bourbon, then you have all the ingredients you need. Profits from these kits go to Off Their Plate, and this is a great charity. It buys meals from restaurants that need the business and distributes them to frontline workers and others in need. We have a great playlist of local music that you can jam out to by the team at Hereby in Cambridge, Mass. And all the while, of course, we're taking your questions through the chat feature on this Zoom event. Ingredients that you'll need: your favorite bourbon. These are just a few of mine. This is Eagle Rare from the Buffalo Trace Distillery. Maker's Mark, you can't go wrong here. A wheated style bourbon, great texture for making cocktails. This is a special bottling of Four Roses. All up and down the line, they make great whiskeys for making cocktails and sipping. And I have some Elijah Craig 12-year from a special bottle that I'm going to make my drinks with tonight because I can. For the whiskey smash, you'll also need lemon. Now, don't get ahead and juice that lemon. You're going to use half a lemon cut into small pieces to muddle to make that whiskey smash. So just hold tight. You need half a lemon for each cocktail. Simple syrup, of course, a 1-to-1 sugar and water, mint. And then for the brown derby, you'll need grapefruit juice and honey syrup. And we're going to show you how to take honey and make it into syrup so that it doesn't get all stuck in your equipment when you're making this classic cocktail. For ice, you'll need some cubed ice, and as you know, I like these 1-by-1 cubes you get out of these trays that you can find almost anywhere these days. And we're also going to make crushed ice tonight, which is just going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to pound out some of our aggressions here, and I'm going to use what's called a Lewis bag and a mallet. This is pretty easy to get off the internet or in a fine cocktail gear shop. It's cool when the ice goes in. There's just a little bit of absorption in the bag. So as you're banging it and crushing the ice, the part that's turned into water gets absorbed. The rest gets into a great, lovely texture for making drinks like this smash we're going to make. But I have many times been very successfully served by just a Ziploc bag or two. And, you know, the baker's hammer right here, a rolling pin. If you end up using a smaller hammer of some kind, you know, you can use a muddling stick or even a tack hammer. Be careful if you're doing that in the bag because it can tear. That's really cool. I'm glad we're doing that. When you can make crushed ice at home, it opens a whole doorway to like cobblers, smashes, juleps, swizzles, the list goes on. For glassware, we're going to use a rocks glass for the smash, and then use your favorite cocktail glass for that brown derby. Other ingredients, other equipment that we'll need. You'll need a shaker tin for your brown derby, and you know, if you can't shake something in something like that, you can check something in Tupperware. You can use a deli cup like this. And then for the smash, I'm actually going to use the glass set, the Boston shaker set with the tin cap. So that you can see everything that's being muddled in there, and you can go like this. And if you're using a pint glass and you don't have a tin to top it with on that drink, you can just take some saran wrap and pull it around the top real tight, because we're going to do a dry shake on that. So that can contain everything in there to make your cocktail. Something to make juice, a juice squeezer or a reamer. Other things we need, obviously, it's nice to have a peeler if you want to do a nice twist. We're going to need a cutting board and a knife, and I always have a plate to kind of move stuff around on. This is the Hawthorne strainer we use for making cocktails, and this is the tea strainer. I'm just going to say, you know, I've been using a tea strainer in my kit. Very inexpensive, easy to find piece of equipment for over 15 years now. And the reason is this drink. And I remember the first time I demoed the cocktails for the opening menu at Eastern Standard to the owner, Garrett Harker. I was making them in a little office across the street, and he tasted them and he sort of, you know, I think he liked them, and he said, these are great, or these are fine. And I said, but just tell me, because back up until then, I hadn't made that drink with a tea strainer. And when you muddle the mint, you get little bits of it swirled in and around the crushed ice. It's not unattractive. He said, but tell me there'll be no little pieces of mint in our guests, in our guests' drinks to get in their teeth. And I said, of course, making drinks on a table. Do you think I'm a barbarian? Of course I would never do that. And I ran right out and I called my buddy, John Gertzen, an excellent bartender. I said, John, how do I keep the mint out of the drinks? Like, tea strainer, Target, $3. So I highly recommend that for this drink, but it's not essential. It just helps you present something that's a little bit cleaner when it's finished. Right, that's most of the stuff that we need to get going. The chat is already asking, what could I call this bag? That's a branded name. It's called a Lewis bag. Easy to find any website that does cocktail equipment. Without further ado, Ashley Sullivan has been working in hospitality since she was 16. After a few years off to start a family, she jumped back in on the opening team of Salt, a family-owned raw bar and fine cuisine restaurant in Plymouth, Massachusetts. She's bar manager at Salt and a town meeting member for Plymouth on the energy committee, as well as a member of a restaurant sustainability group. During the initial lockdowns due to COVID, she would post on her Twitter account asking people what they had on hand in the pantry to help them create drinks at home. That so embodies her drive and dedication to sustainable cocktails at home and at the bar. If you'd like to support her directly, please hit up her tip jar. Her Venmo is Ashley Surandagi, and she is a thoughtful, skilled bartender and a bourbon enthusiast. It's great to welcome you, Ashley. Hello.
Hi, Jackson. Nice to see you again.
Great to see you. What's going on down there in Plymouth? How's it going?
It's going. We've luckily been very busy at the restaurant once things have opened up. I mean, the whole town took a little bit of a hit this year. It was supposed to be a very big year for us in Plymouth. It was the 400-year anniversary of the Mayflower landing here in Plymouth. So there was a lot of people working behind the scenes with big events to bring tourism to the town, and a lot of the restaurants and small businesses were banking on that. So it was unfortunate, but once everything opened back up, we had a lot of great regulars and people supporting us. So we've been lucky. It's been very good.
What's the plan this summer for those festivities? It seems to me that 401 has a nice round ring to it, you know? If they can do the 2020 Olympics in 21, why can't you do the 401st anniversary?
That I actually haven't heard anything about that, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're trying to put something together behind the scenes. I mean, that would be great because I feel like we really missed out this year.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Are there other ways we can support besides coming by in the restaurant? Are you guys doing cocktails to go by any chance?
We are doing cocktails to go. We got that program up and running during the shutdown. We were doing takeout out of our sister restaurant, and I was putting together cocktails for that. And we are still offering to go cocktails with the purchases of food. So it's been helpful.
Awesome. Well, I'm getting thirsty. How about you? And this one's going to take a little bit of work. Should we get to making a whiskey smash together?
Absolutely.
All right. So we're going to make a ice in a second, but I'm going to get my muddle going first. And again, I know it sounds a little convoluted to say it this way, but it is half a lemon quartered. So I'm going to take this lemon, just slice it right down the middle, and I'm leaving all of the skin on. And then I'm going to do it into 4 pieces. Drop that in there. And then when you have like a long piece of mint, what I like to do is kind of strip the leaves off of that for the mint, and then break it off so that there's still a decent amount of stem here. That's going to help me set it up in the glass when the time comes. We'll need an ounce of simple syrup. And this is a nice 1-to-1 simple syrup. And then we just need to press these together. And it's really the act of squeezing the lemon. It's the act of pressing the mint leaves. It gets it all kind of into a liquid. But what's great about this on whole lemon as opposed to juice is you're also getting all this peel in there. And it doesn't really take much more than that. I remember the early teams at Eastern Standard would go up to do this drink, and people would look at them like they were engaged in some sort of arcane torture. And it's really just a couple more minutes to do that, a couple more moments really, and it just makes such a much better drink than if you're doing something from a mix. And this thing can kind of sit and rest and keep kind of maturing a little bit in the glass. And we're going to put a couple ounces of our favorite bourbon. What are you using over there, Ashley?
I'm using Mad River bourbon. They're located out of
Awesome.
Vermont. I really like them. It's a woman-owned distillery.
They're doing great stuff there. That's awesome.
They are.
All right, and now I'm just going to let this off to the side, kind of steep for a little bit. That's only going to get better while that's happening. And then I'm going to make a little space. Now, how are you going to do your crushed, Ashley?
So I'm going to use a rolling pin and a Ziploc bag.
Awesome.
Because I feel like most people have these items at home.
I had never done this at home in the bag until today, and I
feel like I should
it.
get one of those.
I sort of got it on a lark just to see what the fuss is about. It's a nice little extra tool. Probably make a nice gift for the cocktail nerd. I like what you've done there. Tell us why you've surrounded that a little bit.
Well, the bags tend to break if you're just hitting right onto it. So this will kind of diffuse any of that initial pressure and kind of keep everything down. And also it makes it not so loud.
Awesome. Well, let's have at it.
All right.
Now, if you were at home and you didn't have lemon, you could of course sub some lime juice for this. I actually, you can sub. I mean, we're making bourbon cocktails, but this smash is sort of the architecture. You can do it with other spirits too and other citruses, of course. That's a question from the chat that I thought worth getting in the mix here. So this is my Martha Stewart moment. I used the Lewis bag earlier and then put it in the Ziploc bag to make sure I had enough. And then you want to fill your glass up, right? And if you have a little more than gets in your glass, you may have a moment where you top it up again. And now kind of a weird part, you do want to shake this stuff up and get these things mixed. So I'm going to cap mine and dry shake. And we're going to get all the dilution we need when these ingredients go over this finer ice and melt it. And I'm just going to pour it right over like a snow cone. Oh, that smell brings back memories. I haven't made one of these in a while.
Sounds like my 21st birthday.
So, yeah, that's your story. You say you had one of these at Eastern Standard on your 21st birthday. How many did you have before that?
Oh, no, I would never.
All right, now I've grabbed a couple of those crowns that were at the top of the thing because I want to make it nice. And this is really important. I'm fluffing the mint just a little bit, right? I'm twisting these together so I can place them in there. And that's doing a few things. It's throwing some of this mintiness at the drink, but it's also just releasing it from the leaves. And then when you get it in the smash, you don't want to submerge it. What you want is a situation so that every time you take a sip, you get that wonderful bouquet of the mint, and then you can enjoy it that way. Cheers.
Cheers to you.
It's great to have a drink with you.
Amazing.
Oh, so good. How big should the crushed ice be? It's going to be, when you use a hammer, it's going to be different sizes, to answer a question that we're getting. How would you describe the size of these little nuggets?
They're like
Eighth of an
small
inch?
pebbles. Yeah, just about.
Right. Oh, wow, that is delicious. What are some other variations that you would make with this?
I would absolutely use gin with this, and I have
Oh, wow.
made gin with this. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right out of the 19th century. Gin smash sounds delightful.
Incredible.
The great Dale DeGroff, who ran the Rainbow Room and wrote Craft of the Cocktail and influenced a generation of bartenders and bar managers. He told me he never has this drink in the summer without a slice of peach if he can get it, you know?
Ooh.
So that's a nice, really nice addition. Almost just like layered on, like you would use a cherry garnish or something, where it just sort of flavors just kind of seep in, and then it's there for you to snack on towards the
That
end.
sounds nice.
I usually hype the tablespoon measure. I'm taking a question from the chat saying, how many tablespoons is in 2 ounces? It's 4 tablespoons. Tablespoons, half an ounce. Highly accurate way of measuring. To answer that, and lots of questions coming in about other herbs. Yes, you can. That gin smash you mentioned, Ashley, I'd love that with basil in season.
That was my favorite thing to make over the summer.
Yeah. Is that on at the restaurant?
No, I was just making it at home. I had a lot of basil in the garden, needed to use it up. Got my favorite gin, was making some of those.
Wow, that is terrific. Is the smash similar to a sidecar? What an insightful question. Yeah, it sure is. One of the kind of primal early golden age variations of this drink uses curacao instead of sugar. And then you're really jumping up against, and all you got to do is get to brandy from whiskey. And then, yeah, you're in sidecar territory. They're very closely related. It's really interesting to think of drinks in families. You know, it's something we take for granted, Ashley, when we're serving people. But, you know, a person who likes this drink is going to like a gin basil smash before they're probably going to love an old fashioned or a Manhattan, maybe, you know.
Absolutely.
So it's really not about the base spirit as much as all the other flavors that go with it when you're trying to choose cocktails that different people are going to like. Now, here's a couple other things. Do you, besides that great whiskey that you used in your cocktail, are there any other value brands that you recommend?
I love Four Roses. I really love Four Roses.
Yeah, it's there. The yellow label is really terrific. And if you're looking for something kind of in that same price range, but with a little bit more proof, I like Evan Williams too. That's another one I think that gets kind of looked by. It's not marketed, you know, people just kind of walk right by it on the shelf. But wow, this is delicious. I'm not going to pound it. I'm gonna let it evolve a little bit. I'd love it if you gave us another option to choose to drink from here. If you'd like to lead us through a brown derby cocktail.
Yeah,
Tell
absolutely.
us a little bit about this drink and why you love it.
So this drink is great because it's extremely simple. A lot of the ingredients people already have on hand. And you can kind of put your own twist on it if you would like to. And it gives you options because certain grapefruits are a little bit sweeter than others. Some are a little bit more tart. So it depends on the flavor profile that you like with it. So I chose Mad River. This one's a little bit sweet. So I went with fresh grapefruit juice, which tends to be a little bit more tart and doesn't have any additional sweeteners to balance it out. Yeah, so let's start. Well, first we'll start off by making the honey simple. So you need equal parts honey and warm water to dilute it. So I'm just going to do a 1-to-1, and I'm going to put the honey in first to measure out. That way, when I add the hot water, it'll kind of get any of the remnants out of there. So you can make this ahead of time, and you can make it in a larger batch if you're going to be using it for other cocktails, and just keep it in the fridge.
Yeah, I do that thing when I'm making it with a whole bottle of it, just like you're putting the hot water into the measuring thing. I love to, when I've drained the thing as much as I can, run really warm water to start with into the vessel it came from and try and shake to get as much of it out as I can.
Exactly. So I'm just gonna let the hot water sit, well, the warm water sit on that a little bit, get it in there.
While she's doing this, a question from the chat is asking, can we just use honey? And the reason we're making this step is it's just going to make it blend in with the juice a lot easier. Sometimes if you have a honey that's really, really liquidy, you can do it. But if you just throw honey in your shaker and then your ingredients and then ice, it's just going to get cold and stick in there, and you're not going to get the flavor. So
yeah, it's so much easier when you have this. Everything blends together so much easier.
And you just did an ounce of honey and an ounce of water?
Yep.
So that's, if you're using a tablespoon measure, that's 2 tablespoons of each. It's important, this equal portion part of this thing too is just right. And then if you do make a little bit more in advance, or have a little bit left over, you need to remember to refrigerate it. Honey can stay out and be stable, but once it's mixed with water, now you've just got something that's really like dying to ferment and become like honey wine, like, so you want to store that in the fridge after you've made it.
All right, so we're gonna do 3/4 of an ounce of this, the honey water. I pre-juiced some fresh grapefruit. You can use something that you bought from the store. I know that they have some really nice brands that aren't too sweet. Unless you like a sweeter cocktail, then I would go with something with a little more sugar added to it. But I personally don't.
Ashley, I find grapefruit really delicious and wonderful in cocktails, but it is one that some people have an allergy to. Have you done this with anything else that you liked? Are there any subs on grapefruit that you've used?
You could probably use blood orange. I feel like that would be a nice substitution. I would like that one a lot.
Outstanding.
Yeah. So you're going to do 3/4 of an ounce of your grapefruit juice, 3/4 of an ounce of your honey syrup, and then 1.5 ounces of your preferred bourbon. And before you juice, if you want to do a grapefruit twist, you would just take your peeler along the rind, save that for after you juice. Add some ice to your tin. My ice is down here. You still juicing over there?
I'm good.
You're good?
I'm caught
All right.
up.
All right.
Don't wait for me.
So I chose this coupe. I love drinking out of coupes.
Lot to do today.
Yeah, right.
A lot of stuff to do today, We're busy.
My coupe is a bit on the larger side, so.
That's nice.
So yeah, if you want to use a grapefruit twist, you just express it over your glass, drop it in. It should be a nice golden hue.
I'm just gonna do a little
So
bit of that.
refreshing.
Cheers to you.
Cheers to you. I feel like this cocktail's so underrated. You don't see it very often, and I feel like it gets overlooked.
Wow, that's outstanding. It's been a while since I had that one. That's so good. Hey, did you see Pappyland, this book?
Oh yeah.
But that's just come out. It's Wright Thompson, and it's a book about the Van Winkle family and bourbon and whiskey, and it's one of those ones where it's also about what the author's going through in his life. But there's this question, there's like 6 different questions coming in that are all sort of like, what whiskey can I mix with? What shouldn't I ever make cocktails with? And there was a passage I just read. And this is the kind of book too, and you start reading it, you just devour it. But there's a passage I just read that I think says it in a way better. I'd like to see what you think about it, if you don't mind me just reading it to you real quick, because
Of
I think
course.
this gets to the heart of what like 9 of these people are asking when they're saying like, is there a bourbon I shouldn't make cocktails with? And writes, I love being with Julian or his son Preston in a bar that fetishizes bourbon. Sadly, I wasn't there for the best bourbon fetish bar moment. Once in New York, Preston leaned against a bar and ordered a Van Winkle. How he drinks it, how Julian drinks it, how Julian Jr. and Pappy drank it. On the rocks with a twist. The bartender snootily told him he didn't feel right serving such fine bourbon like that. Preston grinned. He paused for dramatic effect, then delivered the kill shot. Well, sir, that sure is disappointing, given that's how my grandfather and father taught me to drink it. And my family did make the stuff after all. Hi, I'm Preston Van Winkle. And I know the takeaway from that for some people might be that the snooty bartender needs to be flogged for not being a hospitalitarian. But I'm sympathetic. He has respect for the product, right? He wants an answer to this. He's trying to answer this question that everybody's asking. And the point of it is, it's coffee as you like it, right?
Exactly.
And most of these whiskeys are made to get a little water through a piece of ice and be made into cocktails or not. So there are things that are, and it's a long and complicated conversation about what's suited to different things. I think you want a bourbon that has a little bit more than 80 proof for most cocktails. And I think those are the ones that I like to drink with an ice cube, and somebody else likes to drink with a twist, and somebody else likes to drink neat.
Absolutely.
And that's all up to the personal choice, so.
Of course. Yeah, it's all preferential. I've made cocktails with higher end bourbons. So it really just depends on what the person likes and what they're comfortable, using.
Do you have a liquor store that you go to in your neck of the woods?
Yeah, there's Pioppi's. It's right down the street from my house. They always have like a really good selection of spirits, and I love their wine selection as well. And then Craft Beer Cellar, they have really good a beer selection. We have one here in Plymouth as well.
The people are asking us a little bit about what's a splurge bourbon. So I think we said value, but like if you like the secondary market has made just the bourbon prices a little bit ridiculous, and it doesn't make a lot of sense for working bartenders. But if money was no object, is there one that you adore?
I don't know. I tend to like Woodford, and I know that some people view that as like sometimes like a higher end one, but I really don't feel that it's that steep if you're looking to just drink something with it on the rocks or make an old fashioned with it.
Yeah, it cuts both ways too. You sure can sip it. And there's distinctive bottlings of it too. I love to look out for that when I'm, I guess, treating myself or collecting. There's so many different individual barrels either selected by the representative of the liquor store or by some bar that you like, or through some other reason, a special bottling. And Woodford is one that's a blend. They're specialized blends, but with most of these great brands that you like, you can't go wrong with their special offerings.
Exactly.
Hey, they want to know what your favorite gin is.
My favorite gin? Oh my goodness. So I've been really into this gin brand called Gray Whale. They're out of California, and they distill with kombu and California juniper. It's like it has a really great flavor profile. So that's what I've been drinking a lot of when I'm reaching for something with gin.
Outstanding.
Yeah. What about you?
I haven't tried that out. I when it comes to stuff like that, I guess I'm a little conservative. I'm hard on the London dries,
Yeah.
And I haven't the times I've been like, I'm out of Fords again. Like, how's it possible? I'm only making like one drink at a time over Zoom with with someone.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's just become my go-to because it pulls all these different attributes that I like from different gins together, you know. So
Yeah,
I'm very, very happy with a bottle of Fords and a can of tonic or
you
a
can't go
little
wrong with Fords.
Bolin, you know. So um, well, gosh, it's just been great to get to catch up with you. Going a little bit out of order, they have a few things they want to ask us about um, fluffing the mint like we did. Uh,
Oh yeah,
I I have a little bit more, but I guess I didn't mean to go so fast, but it's already getting a little limp being out with
I
us this
know.
long. Um, and you might have a better one to kind of show, just like
Yeah,
you're sort of doing it over the drink.
yeah. You're getting
Um,
those oils and essences
there you
right
go.
over everything and opening it up. Just kind of do one of these and
So
put it right on the top.
we had sold 21,000 of these within our before our fourth birthday at the bar, and we had a party called the Whiskey Smash Bash, which
Oh
at the
yeah.
time I said was a new low. And we throughout the day you bought your tickets and you came in and there were all the different places to drink and all these different smashes to get, but um, you could go over and learn to muddle, and we had a half barrel that had been shellacked with to be like a food punch bowl of a half barrel of
Hmm.
bourbon, and guests could muddle a little bit, and then that got put into like such a like a nightmare to think about these days, but it got put into communal pitchers and slowly fed this giant punch bowl made by all of the guests. And at the kind of the witching hour, we were going to dump. We had 3 big 50-pound bags of crushed ice to dump on this thing, and I took a master box of mint and made a giant festoon and walked through the room like an Episcopalian with
Oh
the
my
incense.
goodness.
It smelled amazing, you know, just scented the whole room with mint. The barbacks dropped the crushed ice in. I thrust it in and I just sort of backed up, and everybody had straws and they just sort of devoured it like the zombie apocalypse style. It was really quite good.
That must have been so fun.
Hey, we didn't get Guinness Book, but it's definitely the world's largest whiskey smash that I've ever heard of.
I missed this drink.
I'm never going to forget it now. Hey,
Bringing me
thank you so
back.
much for thanks for spending some time uh, with me here. I really appreciate it. It's good to get to see you. Thanks for all that you're doing in the town, and for your support of Cocktails for Commonwealth. And
Oh, thank
um,
you so much.
it's really, really great to have a drink with you.
It's so nice to have a drink with you. One of my favorite people, one who opened me up to whiskey smashes. Love it.
Well, that's going to be Cocktail Club for this week, friends. Thank you so much. Please join us every Thursday at 7 p.m. Next week's guest is the one and only Brother Cleve, and we've got vodka. Come on, don't be afraid. Make sure to follow the link from our sign up page to Gordon's Wine and Spirits to pick up the Boston.com vodka cocktail kit. You'll be supporting Off Their Plate and getting everything you need for next week's Boston.com Cocktail Club. Thanks again, Ashley.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Bye.